Hi, and welcome to Astrology by Penny Dix. And today I'm going to take an in-depth look at November the 1st with the new moon in Scorpio. So it's at 12:49 Universal Time and it's at 9 degrees. Well, what do we know about the sign of Scorpio? Scorpio is a very deep, dark sign. It's fixed, it's water. I wouldn't cross a Scorpio. That's my first instinct. I would always be very wary and careful around someone who has a lot of Scorpio in their chart, because they can react or flare up in quite a kind of dark way with their scorpionic shadow, with their sting in the tail. Now, I'm sure you are familiar with the story of the turtle and the scorpion, or some people know it as the tortoise and the scorpion. And I'm not talking about slow and steady wins the race, although that still kind of goes. But the scorpion wanted to cross to the other side of a river, and it can't swim. So, which is interesting that a scorpion that comes under the sign of Scorpio, a water sign, can't swim. So the scorpion sees a turtle, let's call it a turtle, basking in the sun on the beach of this river. The scorpion goes up to the turtle and says, "Hey, do you want to give me a ride? I'd like to get to the other side of the river." The turtle says, "Are you kidding me? Once we get out there, you're going to sting me. That's what scorpions do. I'll die. Why on earth would I want to help you?" "Ah, well," said the scorpion, "there's the clever thing about this, because if I kill you, clearly I will die myself. And I really need to get to the other side of the river. So I'm not going to sting you in your soft parts. And let's look at it this way," says the scorpion. "I climb on your back and you have drawn in all your fleshy parts, your legs, your neck, your head. So there is no way I could sting you." So they make this deal. And sure enough, the turtle gets up to the part of the river where he would easily float into the river, and then would wait until he gets midway across before he sticks out his legs and his fins and his neck to swim. So the scorpion climbs on the back of the turtle, and the turtle drifts out across the rippling waves, and the scorpion taps him on the shell, on his home, and says, "Well, we're in the middle of the river, so it's safe now for you to stick out your fins and swim, so we get to the other side of the river and we don't just drift aimlessly." And the turtle thinks, well, he's right. If he kills me, he dies too. Why would he want to do that? And so the turtle pushes out his fins, he sticks his head out, has a look around, scorpion sitting up there, looking at him, and out they go And then for no apparent reason whatsoever, the scorpion stings him in the neck and they sink and they both die. As they're going down, the turtle says, "Why? Why did you do that? You're going to die." And the scorpion says, "Ah, yes, but I got you, didn't I?" Well, that's, I think, it's quite a dark, shadowy view of what the sign of Scorpio is about. But that is why I started off this reading with saying I wouldn't cross a Scorpio or make enemies with a Scorpio. But at this point, let's get the inimitable Jerry to bring the chart up onto the screen so that we can see the picture of and the diagram of the movements of the planets, the cosmic bodies, at the time of this new moon in Scorpio. And you know, it's interesting, isn't it, that the Scorpion has this attitude of, yeah, but I won. I'm thinking about what's just popped into my head is the American election, which is on the 5th, a few days, 5th of November, Guy Fawkes Day in the United Kingdom, when Guy Fawkes decided to blow up the Houses of Parliament. He failed, but we celebrate it, which is interesting. And so we have firework night. People light bonfires and let fireworks off and celebrate Mr. Guy Fawkes. What kind of fireworks will abound around the US elections? Now that's a thought, isn't it? How will this scorpionic new moon, which means new beginnings, new starts, new opportunities to cross the river, to make friends with people on the other side. Who might shoot themselves in the foot? Who might go down and take others down with them, just so they can be right? I don't know. I'm just musing as I go through this energy. And I want you to take it down a few levels, a few notches to your own personal lives. And let's have a think and a look at the transits to see how they may affect you personally, let alone what might unfold on the world stage, on the planet, in the few days from the beginning of this week. And I'm recording this on the 27th of October, and it'll hopefully be on my channel by Tuesday or Wednesday. So a little bit tight in putting it out, but as you know, I'm still looking for my lost puss, and so that's been taking up a lot of my time. But more of that in my live, which I'm doing later, which you will see if you haven't already seen it live. You can get it on catch up. And also I might add that for a more in-depth look at the astrological energies of the Mars-Pluto opposition and the American election, check out the video I did with conscious medium Brandon Russ. We did that live on Saturday, and it's on both our channels, so we don't mind, we share. So you can look at it on my channel or his channel. And it's quite interesting how we looked at the energies. But let's come back to the new moon in Scorpio, and specifically how it may affect us all on a personal level. Well, as I said, a new moon is about new things. setting new intentions. It's Scorpio. Scorpio traditionally is the 8th house of the zodiac. So it's about other people's money. It's about transformation. It's about transition. It's about transformation. So what might be unfolding in your own lives that needs to change, to shift up a gear? What needs to break down to break through? Let's think about the tortoise or the turtle and the scorpion. Is there a turtle part of you or a tortoise part of you that likes to stay in your comfy chair, carefully watching what goes on in the outside world, but not being in it, not actually going out there and engaging in life? You know, life is to be lived, and life needs to be lived in the present. And maybe the metaphor of the scorpion dying with the turtle in the river, the flow of life, the river, the flow of the divine, the river, the consciousness, the water of consciousness, the scorpionic depths. What do you need to allow to die on an inner level so that you can go through the rebirth and the transformation that Scorpio offers? Because Scorpio is also about death, endings, but also, paradoxically, about birth and new beginnings. What do you need to let go of in your own life? What habits, what behaviors? What needs to change? Are you too stuck in your comfy chair? Answers in the comments. Mercury, our planet of communication, is in Scorpio still for this new moon, and it's conjunct the midheaven of the chart. So it's conjunct that part of the chart that is about what is out there for all of us to see, what is in the public domain, what can be seen. Now it's just gone past its opposition to our retrograde planet Uranus in Taurus. Uranus, our planet of shocks, the unexpected, freedom of speech. Freedom of speech, that's an interesting one, isn't it? Mercury in Scorpio, in opposition to Uranus retrograde. What may have come out in the news? What may have come out in your personal lives? What may need to be reflected upon? What I would suggest is that if you are caught in sticky situations with others in your life, be it relationships, one-to-one relationships, where Mars is in Cancer, in opposition to Pluto, retrograde in Capricorn, and I'll come to that transit in a minute. What might you need to really be mindful of how you discuss certain topics? I feel that there are certain life changes, life topics that come up now for many of us, which need careful thought in how we communicate them. That we don't go rushing in like the proverbial bull in the china shop, which is Uranus retrograde in Taurus. Uranus is done with Taurus. Uranus has had enough of being restricted in that fixed energy. Uranus cannot wait to move into Gemini, an air space, an air sign, air space, where Uranus can breathe and fly. So there's something about this new moon that is giving us new opportunities to communicate on difficult issues, difficult subjects, difficult topics with our friends, with our loved ones, with family. Goes on the world stage as well. If any of the world leaders happen to be tuning in, be mindful of how you tread over the next few days. Be mindful of your words. Think about what you say. The ascendant of this chart, if you look at the diagram, is Capricorn. So it's cardinal energy. This is about action. Mars in Cancer, in that 7th house, opposite Pluto. It's not exact yet. It goes exact, I think it's the 3rd, 4th of November. So it's very much a player in this new moon. Mars opposite Pluto in the 1st house is about the breaking down of the old ways of doing things, breaking down to break through. That's in your thinking, in the way you live your life, in the way you deal with your day-to-day mundane everydayness, with your work, with your career, with your friendships and family. The old ways do not serve us anymore. Virgo, which is about service to others, is part of the 7th house and is ruling the 8th house of this chart, saying be mindful of the details, to do with sorting out of contracts, wills, legacies, joint finances, looking at the markets. I talked a lot about the markets and the potential market adjustment that could take place over the next 10 days in the video I did with Brandon. So things are going to seem, I think, quite potentially dramatic, changeable. It's like everything is speeding up. It's as if we are all on a different timeline from where we were even 2 days ago. It's as if you imagine all this myriad of different timelines that we can follow, and the astrology is our map, our guide to suggest to us which particular timeline suits us and the people that we want to connect with and have in our lives, and the animals and the pets and my cat. Pluto in Capricorn, and Capricorn as the ascendant is saying huge change begins now with this new moon. It's already in motion. Going back to what I was talking about, Virgo, on the cusp of the 8th house, the vertex, which is a trigger point in astrology, is in Virgo, in the 7th house. I do think people are going to get pretty fed up. And I think the trigger point is that people actually do get up out of their comfy chairs and say enough, on whatever level that is, on whichever timeline you are choosing to operate on. Uranus opposite Mercury in the home. We can look at the home as the world stage as well as your own personal home base. News is coming out that shakes your foundations. It could be news on the world stage that comes out that shakes all of our foundations. It's nothing to be fearful of, because this is necessary change, and I think we can feel, and we've all been feeling for some time, the build-up of energy that is moving us towards Pluto's move into Aquarius. You know, this dawning of a new earth, of a new age. Uranus moving into Gemini. Innovative thinking, new ideas, freedom, freedom of speech. Because do we have freedom of speech in any form, anywhere on the planet? I'm just asking the question. I'm not asking for an answer. But do we? I know on this particular social media platform that I use that I have to be mindful of how I speak, how I say things, my content. I know there are other platforms where one can be more frank and open, but, you know, I think sometimes it's about, we all have different roles, different jobs to do on our particular timeline and life path. The North Node in Aries is in the second house, and it's talking about our destiny is through the changes that need to be brought into the whole of the economic and financial establishment. It's going to take time, and we could go through some quite difficult times as these changes begin to take hold. But I also, before I finish this, in my interpretation of the new moon in Scorpio, I want to talk about Saturn. Because the interesting thing is Saturn retrograde in Pisces in the first house, I use tropical Placidus, is really the only planet making an aspect to the new moon by trine, which I find quite interesting. So the new moon is being trined by retrograde Saturn in Pisces. So you've got water, water. You've got Saturn about going back over old ground, reviewing, re-looking at, being mindful about what you do want to bring into your life in the future. What you might have wanted to manifest even last week may have changed. Allow yourself the flexibility of Pisces to change your mind, to operate from not just your authenticity, said it right, but your inner sovereignty. Equality seems to be something that is very hard to achieve for humankind. But if you can own and inhabit with integrity your sovereignty and your honesty, being truthful to yourself and your beliefs, analyze your beliefs, Look at your inner rule book. Does it serve where we're going towards in the future? Saturn is about rules and boundaries. It's trining this new moon. Is what you are trying to manifest in your life, is it yesterday's news? What do we need to bring into tomorrow's news? On the world stage and in your own lives. And at this point, I'm going to ask the lovely Jerry, whoosh, to remove the chart. So, I hope you found this thought-provoking. I often say, remember to not react, but respond to situations, conversations, and not react. I still adhere to those sentiments. If we respond to what's happening in the news, if we respond to what's happening in our own lives, take time out, actually maybe even say to someone, let me think about that. Let me come back to you on that. I need to do some of my own research. The world, the planet, humankind need to grow up. One of the things I've learnt through George, my cat going missing, is how much I have not lived in my sovereignty and not lived fully enough from the adult part of me. It's been absolutely mind-shattering. The things that I have learnt through George, bless him, going missing. Who knows, by the new moon, maybe he'll be back, because my sense is that until I've learned the lessons represented by his disappearance to me, how can he return? Because I have to learn. If I don't learn, I just get stuck in that comfy chair and I never move on. On another note, before I finish and say all the usual of please remember to like, comment and subscribe, I will come back to doing the Astro Bites, but it'll probably only be 2 a week. You're probably aware that this is what I tend to do. I burn myself out. They started at 8 minutes, then they stretched to 10 minutes, then they were 20 minutes. And I don't have the stamina to do that. So I exhausted myself, and then George went missing, probably courtesy of Saturn conjunct my moon in my 8th house and Pluto conjunct my Chiron in my 6th house. George went missing and slowed me down and made me look at my priorities. And maybe that's what I want to give to you through this new moon as well. Look at your priorities. Because sometimes our priorities are very skew-whiff. And sometimes we have to let go of Miss Nice Girl, Mr. Nice Guy, Mr. Cool Guy, Miss Cool Girl, to become the tough grown-up that is in us. So, George, if by chance you're watching this, I'm sorry. Please come home. I miss you. So, thank you for joining me for this look at the new moon in Scorpio. It's on the 1st of November, and I'll see you very soon. And you take care. And I really, really appreciate all the support you give me. I've been unable to respond to a lot of your messages, comments, likes, etc. on YouTube. I will get round to it. I've got emails as long as it is from here to the other side of the island. But thank you from the bottom of my heart, and all the suggestions, all the prayers to help George return. It's so valued. So on that note, I'll say thank you for joining me, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye for now.